not only from the EACC, but they are also men and the women of God who trust that God can help us to tame corruption in our nation. And with that, I pray may the Lord bless us even as we continue with this conversation. Can we really tame corruption, or it is a necessary evil in today's society? Father, we ask you that these words will find a place in our hearts, that you raise Daniels of today in our nation, beloved nation of Kenya. We ask you that, Lord, as we carry on this program, may this question indeed be answered or responded to, that going to help us today in this wonderful forum. For this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chaplain, Dr. Stanley Mungatia. Can we appreciate our chaplain? Chaplain, do you feel appreciated with that kind of clap? Can we appreciate him well? Okay, so allow me at this juncture then to move into the next phase of the program and invite my co-host also here, Ms. Joyce Monene, because we want to do a quick round of introductions. But first, also before she introduces the team that she came with, Joyce, you can come. I want to welcome her first to PAC University. So Joyce, welcome to PAC University. We hope that one of these fine days now, after exploring us, you will come in and do your PhD in leadership here very soon. So welcome to PAC University. So allow me to do a quick round of introduction in a group way, because I know the VC, as he'll be making his remarks, he will recognize all of us and the teams that are here within PAC University. But I want to welcome anyone who is here in PAC University for the first time. If you can raise your hand, we appreciate you and welcome you to PAC University. If you are here for the first time, can we appreciate them? Wow. So feel welcome, and this is PAC University, where leaders are made. So I also want to appreciate all our students who are here at whatever level. I've seen a number of postgraduate students from PhD in the different schools that we have, to masters, to bachelors, and of course to all our young development program students who are here. So if you are here as a student, can we appreciate each one of us as we clap? So feel welcomed. I also want to take this opportunity to appreciate all the staff of PAC University who are here. If you are here as a staff of PAC University somewhere, we want to welcome you to this session. I know some of us may not be here because of some various areas that are critical, but feel welcomed as staff of PAC University. So can we appreciate them? I also want to appreciate the management board and the Senate of PAC University. I know we will not, have the budget to hold this event if it wasn't for the board, the two boards, to support us in even the various engagements that we've had to make this event a reality. So feel welcomed, and we appreciate you. Can we give a round of applause to the team? And of course, our leader, who is the Vice Chancellor for the university and the Deputy Vice Chancellor, also feel welcomed in this event. In as much as you are the host, you're also a guest in one or another. So karibu sana VC and DVC for in this event. So allow me to stop there and welcome Joyce to also introduce the team from EACC. Then we will proceed from there.
Let's appreciate my co-host. Thank you very much, Dr. Gilbert. I'll introduce the team from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and also our stakeholders. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is the lead agency in the fight against corruption, works with other partners in the private sector and also in the public sector. So kindly allow me to introduce, starting with our chief guest, who is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission chairperson, Dr. David Oginde. Kindly applaud him. With us also is Commissioner CPA John Ogalo. Kindly, Commissioner, you may wave to the group so that they see you. We have directors with us. We'll start from this end. FCPA John Lolkoloi. He's the Director for Investigation. He has also served in various portfolios at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I'll move to Director CPA Joel Mukumu, Finance and Planning. I'll move to Director for Ethics and Leadership, Mr. Pascal Kelly Mweu. Let me go to the Deputy Directors present. We have Dr. Susan Kinyeki. He's also in the Directorate for Investigation. We have Deputy Director, Mr. Kaboro, David Kaboro. He's in the Ethics and Leadership Directorate. I'll request all my other colleagues from EACC kindly be upstanding. When we were having lunch, there's, I don't want to mention the name, who said, I only see EACC on TV. I've never interacted with you people. So tunakaanga hivi. This is us. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you for being here. You may be seated. We've just been joined by our commissioner. He might not breathe before I mention his name. He's Colonel retired, Alfred Mushimba. He's a commissioner at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Commissioner, you may be upstanding and just wave to the participants. Thank you very much. As I mentioned, we don't work alone. We have a partnership and governance initiative, which is called the Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum. So it's a forum where we dialogue on matters of leadership and integrity, and it's a countrywide event. That's why it's Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum. So we have partners with us present. I'll start with Mheshimiwa Shakil. He's a member of parliament for Kisumu East. Thank you, Mheshimiwa, for being here. We have Madam Trufosa Achar, representing the executive. She is from the the Office of the Attorney General under the National Anti-Corruption Campaign Steering Committee. Thank you very much. We work with other youths under the National Youth Council, Gen Z Simameni. Those are representatives from the National Youth Council. Thank you for being here. We have other partners from the State Department for Youth Affairs. I don't know if he arrived. Okay, maybe not yet. We have Transparency International. They'll be joining to represent the civil society. Yeah, they'll be joining us. And we have Brand Network, the Brand Coach Network, kindly be upstanding. It's a group of young people, the brand led by Winston. I don't know if you, okay, thank you. Please appreciate them. Thank you for being with us. I don't know if I've left out anyone from EACC or Cliff. If I've not mentioned you, you know recognition is important. I would not wish to sit down before you be upstanding. And since there's none, thank you very much. Back to you, moderator. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joyce, for that introduction. I think we are moving on very well. And in an African event, there is no way that an event can start without some bit of dancing and music, isn't it? So allow me to invite Martin, who is the Vice Chair of Pan-African Christian University Student Association. He has a very nice song about corruption, anti-corruption, and I hope that we will enjoy and dance with him. Welcome, Martin.
Okay, Gen Z Wagwan, mkoaje? Come on, a little hype, manze. How are you? Okay. All protocols observed. My name is Martin Mutweli Gitonga. I'm the Vice Chairperson, PACUSA. My performance is a song on corruption. It's titled Corruption Must Die. It's a country music with a beat, country music beat, so hope you'll enjoy. Excuse me for a minute while I lie in the mood. I wanna talk some, so lend me your ears. I know you heard a lot about corruption, but here's the gist I wanna share with you. Corruption has been in the backside of our lives. It's been choking out the life of our economy. We say our leaders are corrupt, but we are all the same. But what we can do is stand up, take charge and choke corruption out of our systems. It's the duty of you and me to save our country. Let's back up EACC and fight corruption. Corruption is a duty of you and me to save our country. Corruption must die. Manze unadhani corruption ni kitu ndogo, kumbe hiyo kitu ni kama shetani ameingia kwa system. Kila time unasema ati corruption iko kwa news, kumbe unadhani kila mtu anafanya hivi. PAC University tumesema lazima tuungane kupigana na corona. Hapa sasa corruption ndio iko hapa. Kama EACC imetuongoza na sisi PAC tuko na rules mbili muhimu. Integrity, one of the factors of fighting corruption. Kama wewe si integral, huwezi succeed kwa hii life. Alafu kingia pili ni transformation, the second step that comes along with fighting corruption. Manze kila kitu lazima tujuane. Mambo ya kuachia gava kazi zote hiyo ni mchezo. Sika Gen Z lazima tusimame. Kasi hivyo Kenya imepotea. Thank you.
Can we give Martin a good round of applause for it? No. That's not a clap for Martin. Nani anaweza kuja hapa mbele aimbe? Can you give Martin a good round of applause? So I hope, Joyce, you've seen the skit here. You can help him to refine and then become one of your anthems as you go along. I think it's very good wordings there to challenge us, because corruption is not about the government, because many times we talk about the government is corrupt, but also we are all part of the government in one or another, isn't it? So there is a part that we also play, and that's the part that we also want to look at today, even as we look at others, but we also want to look at what is the part that we play as individuals in different capacities in taming this aspect or this issue or this monster of corruption in our country. Of course, our country is not unique. But if you look at all the countries where corruption is really prevalent to some levels, then you see there are no developments, there are issues. And of course, some of the countries we've seen where we've had conflicts and even wars that are happening. So that discussion is important here. And as we were coming here, I know for the postgraduate students who are here from PAC, one of the things that we've been challenging each other is let's not see research on common issues that we know of. We come and talk about transformational leadership. At one point we said we don't want to see any issue around transformational leadership. Let's talk about real issues in our society. And I hope that for those who are getting into research now, after this conversation, somebody will come up with some research proposal that is aligned to the realities of what we are discussing here today. So, so as we engage, this is also one of the platforms that as PAC University that we are taking to really see how we can be able to engage and resolve some of the society issues, but also connect with the industry and the realities of what is happening around us as part of our outreach program. So without much ado, allow me at this time then to welcome our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs, Professor Daifas Chamorion, to make his remarks, and then afterwards introduce the Vice Chancellor also to make his remarks. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Ngana, for giving me this opportunity. Earlier on, you instructed me to establish the protocol, and that's what I will do so that other speakers can make it shorter. Our keynote speaker, the chairperson of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, Bishop Emeritus Dr. David Okinde, EBS FCS. The Chancellor, Bishop Dr. Callisto Odede, members of the Board of Trustees present here, members of the Governing Council present, members of the Management Board present, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Dionysius Kiambi, EACC Commissioners, and in particular, Colonel Retired Alfred Mshimba, MBS, CPA John Ogalo, Chairperson, African Parliamentary Network Against Corruption, and MP for Kisumu, Honorable Shakil Shabil, MP Kisumu Town East Constituency, Director, National Anti-Corruption Campaign Steering Committee, Ms. Trufosa Achar, EACC Deputy Director, Dr. Susan Kinyeki, EACC Directors and KLIF stakeholders and secretariat, all government officials present here, all faculty members present here, staff members, students, ladies and gentlemen. The topic today is very exciting. Can we tame corruption? And I've decided to open this session by giving a subtopic beyond the service matters, deep level corruption, and how it can be tackled. Globally, according to Transparency International, which was with a report published in February 2026, there are statistics that should concern us today. Because in that report, globally, 2/3 of nations in the world score less than 50% on the Corruption Perception Index. That report says that Denmark, often held as a model of integrity, leads with 89%, yet even that score reflects a slight decline. If you see, they have given an arrow. Singapore, which is the talk of everybody in Kenya, comes third at 84%, and we are told that the global average remains below 42%. Now you could be wondering, what about Kenya? Kenya's situation is particularly troubling because we are 80% Christian, and our country in that report scored 30% and earned position 130 out of 182. And yet it is a decline. We do not know what will happen next year unless this forum comes up with a way forward. These numbers are not merely statistics. They reflect a moral and social reality that affects governance, economic development, public trust, and the well-being of ordinary citizens. Actually, in my analysis as a theologian, I've seen that corruption is directly opposite the Trinity, the doctrine of Trinity, because it has three participants. The first participant, of course, is the initiator, the one who wants to make things easy for their own advantage. The second participant is the collaborator, or the one who is assisting the initiator. And the third party is the injured party, the innocent citizens, and in this case, the innocent citizens of Kenya. And we know there are various forms of corruption, ranging from petty bribery on the roadside, embezzlement, procurement, fraud, influence, and many others. But the most significant and destructive form is the pursuit and accumulation of ill-gotten wealth, the desire to be successful, in quotes. This form of corruption erodes institutions, distorts economic systems, and undermines justice. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the fight against corruption is often approached in a narrow and shallow way. Most strategies rely heavily on legal enforcement, policy reform, or economic incentives. While these tools are important, their results have often been unsatisfactory. Laws are passed, institutions are created, commissions are established, yet corruption persists and it mutates. The one that was there yesterday is different from the one that we have today. And while these tools are important, their results have often been unsatisfactory. Now, if we are to make a meaningful progress in the fight against corruption, we must go beyond surface matters and confront the underlying causes of corruption. Speaking as a theologian and as an academic leader at PAC University, I would like to suggest that secular approaches alone have increasingly proven insufficient, and we must turn our attention to biblical and Christian tools. Legal frameworks may regulate behavior, and economic systems may create incentives, but neither necessarily transforms the human heart or the moral imagination. Corruption is not only a legal failure, it is a moral and spiritual disorder. One of the most powerful forces shaping these environments is worldview. And in summary, worldview consists of beliefs and assumptions which we internalize. If you talk about the young people, they are seeing things and they are internalizing. That is converted into values, which then translate into action. So the kind of things that we see in society contribute to a large extent in making a corrupt society. So in order to change this systemic corruption, we must invest in worldview and worldview transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just remind you that PAC University is leading, and you can see that our theme this year is authentically Christian. That means that we are saying no to corruption. And with that, I wish to invite our Vice Chancellor, Professor Kiambi, to make his remarks. Thank you.
Let us appreciate our DVC. Good afternoon and praise the Lord. It's good to see each one of you this afternoon as we engage on this very, very important matter on corruption. Welcome to PAC University, where leaders are made. Tell the person next to you, welcome to PAC University, where leaders are made. That's true. Thank you. Our keynote speaker, Chairperson of Kenya Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Bishop Dr. David Oginde, EBS, FCS. We are proud of you. Dr. Oginde is an alumni of PAC University. He did his Masters of Arts in Leadership here. So you can see if you do your Masters of Arts in Leadership, you will become like him. He also has a very, very close association with this university. He served as the Chancellor of this university for some time. He also served as the Chair of Governing Council at some point. And he has been teaching for us as an adjunct lecturer for many years. Even now, he's still teaching for us. We appreciate you, Dr. Oginde, for your selflessness in serving this nation and also serving PAC University. Let me also recognize the Kenya Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commissioners, Colonel Retired Alfred Mshimba, MBS, CPA John Ogalo, and the chairperson of the African Parliamentary Network Against Corruption, Honorable Shakil Shabil, MP Kisumu Town East Constituency. Let me also recognize the Director, National Anti-Corruption Campaign Steering Committee, Madam Tufosa Achal, and the EACC Deputy Director, Dr. Susan Kinyeki, and EACC Directors and Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum stakeholders and Secretariat. Let me recognize all government officials present, members of the University Management Board and the Senate, faculty members, staff members, PACUSA leaders and students, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you to PAC University and to this very important Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum, PAC University edition. Allow me, first of all, to express our sincere appreciation to all of you who have taken time to come and participate in this important conversation. You have left your busy schedules and found it necessary to come and join us this afternoon for this very, very important engagement, and we appreciate the time that you have taken to be with us this afternoon. Your presence demonstrates a shared commitment to reflecting deeply on one of the most pressing issues facing our nation today, and that is integrity in leadership. And the theme of today's forum poses a very bold and thought-provoking question. Can we really tame corruption, or is it a necessary evil in today's society? It's a big question. The question is both uncomfortable and necessary. Yes, it is uncomfortable, but absolutely necessary. We have to answer that question to the best of our understanding and knowledge. It challenges us to confront realities that make societies struggle, but often hesitate to address openly. This question strikes at the heart of the challenges facing not only Kenya, but many nations across the world. We all know that corruption is not just a Kenyan problem. It's an African problem, and it's an international problem. Corruption continues to undermine economic development. It weakens institutions. It erodes public trust and discourages citizens who are longing for fairness, justice, and accountability. It affects governance. It also affects public service delivery. It affects economic growth because the money that is taken by corruption ought to be used to spur economic development in our country. And it is even the moral fabric of society. Many citizens have become discouraged, including me. And some have even begun to believe that corruption is inevitable, something that cannot be eliminated but only managed. And it's unfortunate that that belief happens in some spaces. In many places, corruption has become so normalized to some people, to some extent that some people have begun to treat it
as an almost unavoidable part of our lives. So we hear statements like, that is just how the system works, or nothing can change. Such sentiments reflect a growing sense of resignation to corruption as a fate we have to live with. But as a university that is grounded in Christian values, we must ask a deeper question. Is corruption truly inevitable, or is it the result of something deeper within the human condition? At Pan-Africa Christian University, our mission is to develop transformative, godly Christian leaders through training, research, and innovation. For what? For service to God and in the church. In the church and in the community. And our vision is to be a world-class Christian university characterized by high-quality, transformative, and value-based education. And these two statements actually capture the heart of what we believe about leadership and societal transformation. We believe that societies are transformed when leaders themselves are transformed. That's why we are very deliberate about delivering on our mission of developing transformative godly Christian leaders so that in turn they can participate in the noble task of transforming the society with godly values. We also believe that transformation must go beyond knowledge and professional competence. It must touch the heart, the mind, and the character of the individual. So when we examine the problem of corruption more closely, we actually realize that it is not merely a legal and institutional issue. It is not simply about weak laws or ineffective enforcement policies and mechanisms. At its core, corruption emanates from the corruption of the heart and the corruption of the mind. When the heart becomes compromised, integrity becomes negotiable. When the mind becomes distorted, wrong begins to appear as if it is right. When personal gain becomes more important than the common good, corruption finds fertile ground to grow and flourish. That is why the fight against corruption must go deeper than policies and regulations. Policies are necessary, institutions are important, and oversight mechanisms are essential, but these alone are not sufficient if the human heart remains unchanged. The wisdom of Scripture speaks directly to this reality. For example, in Romans chapter 12, verse 1 to 2, we are encouraged not to conform to the patterns of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. This passage reminds us that real transformation has to begin from within as individuals, from within us as individuals. And it is a process which our thinking, our values, our priorities are shaped so that we begin to see the world through the lens of truth, justice, and righteousness. Transformation of the mind leads to the transformation of behavior. When the mind is renewed, decisions change. And when decisions change, leadership changes. And when leadership changes, institutions and societies begin to change as well. Another powerful reminder comes from Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, and it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Above everything else, guard your heart. All actions, all decisions emanate from the heart. So this verse captures a profound truth about human nature and conduct. That everything we do, our actions, our decisions, our leadership, flows from the condition of our hearts. If the heart is filled with greed, selfish ambition, and dishonesty, corruption will inevitably and almost automatically follow. But if the heart is guided by integrity, humility, and a sense of accountability to God and society, then ethical leadership becomes a possibility. Therefore, when we speak about taming corruption, we must recognize that the challenge is both spiritual and moral, just as my DVC has just said. It's also political and institutional. And we may never be able to deal with corruption fully until and unless our hearts are renewed and transformed. And this is precisely why institutions such as ours, Pan-African Christian University, do not see education merely as the transfer of knowledge. We also see education as the formation of character. Our commitment to value-based education means that we seek to nurture leaders who will not only be competent professionals, but also individuals whose decisions are guided by the strong ethical and spiritual foundations. And we believe tomorrow's leaders must be equipped not only with the technical expertise, but also with the courage to stand for integrity even when it is difficult. However, we must acknowledge that addressing corruption requires more than individual transformation. It also requires collective effort. It will require concerted efforts from the entire society, from citizens, civil society, organizations, faith communities, educational institutions, and the private sector. And it will certainly require political goodwill at the highest levels of the government machinery. Without genuine commitment from leadership structures, even with the best policies and reforms in place, we'll never be able to fight corruption completely. History shows us that when political leaders demonstrate genuine integrity and commitment to accountability, institutions become stronger and corruption begins to diminish. And we have seen that in a number of African countries. I don't want to name them, you probably know some of them. It's a national challenge that requires collaboration, courage, and persistence. Platforms such as the Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum are therefore extremely important, and we appreciate our partnership with the EACC and the Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum, because these frameworks provide for honest conversations, reflections, shared learning, and meaningful solutions. So as we engage in today's discussions, I encourage each one of us to reflect on our own spheres of influence. Whether we serve in government, business, church, academia, or civil society, we have a role to play as individuals in promoting integrity and ending corruption. My integrity has been tested in very many spaces and many times. And I remember this one time when I was driving from Langata and I was going up Mbagathi Way, and I was driving around the roundabout at the Nairobi City Mortuary, and I had two destinations in mind. I wanted to do something in the city center, and I also had something to do on Gong Road. So my mind was on city center. But then, in the middle of the roundabout, I said, no, let me do the Gong Road commitment first. So I changed the lane and went to the outer lane. Then immediately, a policeman flagged me down. And I was wondering, what's the problem? Why are you flagging me down? So I stopped. The policeman came close to me and he told me, wewe, in the issue, wewe, unajua umefanya makosa? I asked him, makosa gani nimefanya? Actually, in my subconscious, I was not aware that I had committed a traffic offense, moving from one lane to another in the roundabout. So he told me what I had done, and I said, okay, I'm sorry, can you forgive me? He told me, no. Wacha tuende hapa Kilimani police station. So the policeman got in my car. At that time, I didn't know that is not acceptable. If it was today, I would have told him, no, you cannot get in my car. Let's meet there. So he started chatting with me and told me, if I take you to court, you're going to be charged 10,000 shillings. And also your vehicle might be impounded. So why don't you, hii maneno wacha tumalize hii maneno hapa. Wacha tuongee kama wanaume. So I told him, lakini tunaongea kama wanaume kwani? He said, wewe unajifanya mjeuri sana wewe. Wewe leta za utatu alafu hiyo maneno tuashie hapa. I told him, no, I can't do that. So he told me, you have to go to the police station, then I have to pay a bond of 10,000, and then on Monday I would be presented to in court. So I told him, okay, fine. I didn't have all the money at that point, but I called someone, they brought me some of the money. And I gave my 10,000 bond, and I was let to go. On Monday morning, I went to Kibera court. At 9 a.m., the magistrate came. There were quite a number of us with, I don't know what, many kinds of offenses. So my name was read. Down this says Kiheka Kiambi? Yes, sir. He read the charge sheet and told me that I had committed an offense by crossing, by changing the lanes in a roundabout, and that was wrong. I told him, sir, I did it, yes, and I'm sorry. I did it subconsciously, and I'll never repeat it again. Please forgive me. He told me, Wewe, I've forgiven you, but you have to pay 1,000 shillings as a fine. So I happily went to the cashier, collected my 9,000 balance, and left the 1,000 with the cashier. So you see, it costed me less, and I did not compromise on my integrity. There are many examples, but what I'm trying to say is that if we all make a resolve as individuals to refuse corruption, we can fight it, and we can root it out from the society. So at Pan-Africa Christian University, we remain committed to fulfilling our mission of transformative godly Christian leaders. Our hope is that through education that is intellectually rigorous and spiritually grounded, we can contribute to a generation of leaders who will reject corruption and embrace ethical leadership. If we are truly to tame corruption, the solution will not come from policies alone. It will come from leaders whose character cannot be bought, whose integrity cannot be compromised, and whose commitment to the common good remains unwavering. And this kind of leadership is what our nation needs. And that's the kind of leadership we seek to cultivate here at PAC University. In conclusion, it is my hope that today's forum will inspire meaningful conversations, generate fresh ideas, and strengthen our collective resolve to build a society where integrity is not the exception, but the norm. May our conversations today inspire us to pursue leadership that honors God, serves society truthfully, and upholds the highest standards of integrity. And once again, I warmly welcome you to the Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum, PAC University edition. God bless you and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can we give a round of applause to our VC? Thank you very much for those remarks. I think we are catching up on time very well. Allow me to then move us to the next segment, and I would want to welcome FCPA John Lolkoloi to then invite some brief remarks from EACC, and then we can also hear from the guest speaker. Welcome, John.
Chief guest, all distinguished guests, protocols observed, good afternoon. Yeah, my name is John Lolkoloi. I'm the Director Ethics and Director Investigations at EACC. Sorry, because I was just a Director Ethics 1 month ago, but now I'm Director Investigations. I want to make some disclosure. I am affiliated to PAC University, and I want to state that I am not a lecturer, I'm not in management, I'm not a parent, so you can guess who I am. I'm a student at PAC University, and I'm very excited about it. So my role is to invite our Commissioner, Colonel Retired Mushimba, but before I do that, sir, Just allow me to make one or two remarks. There is a saying attributed to John C. Maxwell that talks about everything rises and falls on leadership. And the motto for PAC University is where leaders are made. I have worked in the anti-corruption arena for the last 20 years. Some of the matters that we investigate include theft of funds for medical supplies, food, relief food, water projects, pension, roads, money for bridges, money meant for schools, hospitals, grabbing of public utility land meant for schools, hospitals, judiciary, and even police stations. In the last 1 year, we have also been dealing with cases of fake academic certificates at all levels. So people are securing employment with fake certificates, and that is a real menace. For you who may have watched one time the chair of PAC, Ambassador Mwaniki, he said that when people come for interviews, the documents look good, but the mind of the person speaking is materially different. I want to give two examples of some of the most unfortunate instances that we had. We investigated a case where somebody was asked for a bribe for his patient to be transfused, blood transfusion. You can imagine how bad that is. The second one was a student in a university who went and bribed the registrar and gave that registrar 300 Kenya shillings 300,000 to be included in the graduation list. And yet that student was in third year. That registrar was very diligent. He reported, we investigated, and that student was convicted of bribery. So what we are dealing today, as we ask whether corruption can be tamed or whether it is a necessary evil, those are the parameters where we have reached as a society. Of course, not all of us. And you ask yourself, where is the human conscience and where are the values? So with that, I want to welcome our commissioner, retired Colonel Mushimba. He is the chair of the prevention committee at the commission. We do not only investigate and take people to court, but we also partner, like the way we are doing now, to promote ethics and integrity, to promote ethical leadership. And because he's a military man, I'm sure he's going to share some of the strategies. You know, strategy came from the military, and some of the experiences that he have had. Can you join me in welcoming him to address us?
Welcome, sir. Thank you, Director John. Our chief guest, EACC Chairperson, Dr. David Oginde, EBS. Our host, Vice Chancellor, Professor Kiambi, Member of Parliament for Kisumu Town East and Chairperson, African Parliamentary Network Against Corruption, Honorable Shakil Shabir, my fellow Commissioner, CPA John Ogalo, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs, Professor Difas Chemorion, the University Fraternity and Management, EACC directors and colleagues, distinguished students who are our friends and strong allies in the fight against corruption, and all participants, a very good afternoon. The Ethics Anti-Corruption Commission appreciates the Pan-African Christian University for the collaboration in hosting the campus edition themed, "Can we really tame corruption, or is it a necessary evil in today's society?" Please allow me to repeat this. Can we really tame corruption, or is it a necessary evil in today's society? The Commission recognizes the vital role the youth play in promoting integrity, and through the Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum, has been targeting to collaborate with the youth at the universities and surrounding communities named campus editions. The Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum is a partnership and governance initiative that advances inclusivity, participation, which we are doing it right now, dialogue, and action in promotion of integrity. Therefore, the Commission is keen to shape the integrity agenda with a whole of society approach, including the young people who play a key role in fostering transparency, promoting ethical leadership, and driving positive change in our society. Their energy, creativity, and commitment to accountability are essential in building a future where integrity is a way of life for all Kenyan citizens. To tame corruption, we need to understand that societies must build a culture of integrity. So, the question is, what is integrity? Others have said, integrity is being most honest, ethical, trustworthy in actions, decisions, and behavior. Integrity is also the commitment to live by values of honesty, transparency, and responsible. Others have made it in a very short statement, doing the right thing when no one is watching. So let us reflect on the following. Do we do what is right even when no one is watching? Do we resist shortcuts? For instance, during exams, I say this with humility. Do we speak up when we see wrongdoing? Do we protect public resources as if they were our own? So, why does integrity matter? Integrity is the foundation on which trust, development, and good governance are built. Integrity is a national asset and a currency that improves social, political, and economic development. Integrity makes societies always better. So our model for enhancing integrity as EACC is shaping integrity agenda through collaborations. EACC aligns institutions and citizens with credible, action-oriented anti-corruption reforms under the CLIF partnership framework, which we are doing it today. Fixing systems, not just people. EACC undertakes corruption risk assessments through system reviews. This is done by examining systems, processes, methods of work, and procedures in different functions for the public entities with the aim of sealing corruption loopholes. On request, we can even do it for private entities. Public education and awareness, empowering citizens to proactively participate in governance affairs, school programs such as integrity clubs to teach and build a culture of integrity from a young age. Research and survey, EACC conducts annual surveys to generate information on the nature, extent, and impact of corruption. The data and information assist in making decisions towards preventing corruption. Proactive measures. EACC, through intelligence and whistleblowing information, stops irregular payments and contracts, therefore preventing loss of public funds. Today, you are all our integrity ambassadors. So we all contend that corruption derails our national programs, hence embrace social accountability, nurture in positive attitude, and culture of upholding personal integrity, mentor others, and please be a role model. As I conclude, let us do what is right, not what is easy. Take responsibility for your actions and accept the consequences. The Vice Chancellor gave us a story where he accepted the consequences of going to court, and he ended up paying only 1,000 shillings. And I think that's a good example. So, with those remarks, I kindly request you, all of us, to be upstanding as I invite the chief guest, Dr. David Oginde, on stage to deliver the keynote address. Chairperson, EACC. Please let us encourage our chairman. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, all. You may be seated. I have stood here many times, but not as a chief guest of anything. And I feel honored to be here today to address this very interesting topic. Let me thank our Vice Chancellor for opening this campus for us to come as EACC to discuss how we can deal with matters to do with corruption and the promotion of ethics within our country. The topic that is before us, I ride on the protocols that were already laid by our DVC, and I appreciate each and every one of us who has stand up this afternoon for this great occasion. The topic before us is a very interesting one. Can we really tame corruption, or is it a necessary evil in today's society? My answer is interesting also. My answer is that we should neither tame nor accept corruption as a necessary evil. When I reflected over the word tame, you know there are people who have tamed lions, and they have tamed buffaloes, and they have tamed snakes, and they keep them in their homes. It means that if you tame corruption, then you keep it in your home. But it is still there. And I think what Kenyans have done is to tame corruption. So now it no longer affects us, or we are not afraid of it because it is tamed. So can we really tame? Yes, we have already tamed, but we should not tame. We should kill corruption. That is my thesis for this afternoon. This question is not a new one. We are not the first ones to invent this question. In fact, I don't know who came up with this topic, whoever it was. But it's a question that has been debated in political circles, by economists, by ethical leaders, governance studies. It's a matter that has been discussed, debated by scholars, theologians, politicians, just because corruption is as old as human beings. And so some have wondered, instead of struggling with this thing, which is part of our human nature, why don't we just accept it as part of our lives, and then we continue? The idea that corruption is a necessary evil comes from a concept known as the grease the wheels argument. In this conception, some economists have argued that corruption can speed up bureaucracy and make things that were rigid to work faster. So if we just normalize it, things would move faster. What that means that if you're a student here and you're supposed to take 4 years, you can take 2 years. Just talk nicely to the lecturer, give them something small to grease the wheels, and you will be out of here in a flash. You will get your degree certificate without having to work hard. So it makes things easier. So this grease the wheel argument theory has been presented as a way of making life easier for everybody. But other researchers have found that corruption, if normalized, will not make things easier. It will actually make things more difficult. The reason that corruption currently seems to make things easier is because not everybody is corrupt. And so those who are corrupt get opportunity to go in front of the line. But if it was normalized, then there would be a gridlock. Because everybody will be going to the same person for the same thing at the same time. The reason that traffic sometimes takes 24 hours on Naivasha Road is not because the road is narrow. Far from it. That is not the reason. It has been presented as a reason. The reason that traffic sometimes takes 24 hours on Naivasha Road is because of a few corrupt individuals who do not want to follow the traffic rules. And so when there's a little slowdown, they jump the line, they drive off the road, they drive on the wrong side of the road, and the other people from the other side who are like them also come and they meet in the middle and no one now can move. And so you can be stuck there for many hours because of these individuals. That's what would happen if we normalize corruption. I was driving up the old Naivasha Road from Mai Mahiu coming to Nairobi. And you know that escarpment climb. It's a very narrow road with a very deep escarpment down there. So there is no way you can jump off. So we were doing very well. The traffic was very slow going up. And it's a winding road, narrow. So while we were going up slowly on an evening, it was around 6 o'clock in the evening, somebody comes from behind us, full speed, on that winding road, going up, and he gets somewhere and meets with a trailer that is coming down. And now he's stuck because he cannot get back into the other lane because we were following pamper to pamper. On the other side, there's a trailer. On this side is a ditch. So he's stuck. Because of this one person, we spent 6 hours on that road. Even police could not reach us. So they had to walk all the way from the new Naivasha Road on Larry's side, all the way to come to where this gridlock was. It took them very long to try and dismantle that gridlock because of one corrupt man. So imagine if it was normalized. That's exactly what will happen. So corruption does not make things easier. It makes things easier if you are the only corrupt person. When you go ahead and you are able to grease somebody's hands and they do for you what you need to do, then you go away feeling, wow, this was nice. But just imagine if all of us were corrupt. Then we will think twice. That is what happened to Singapore. You have heard about Singapore. Those of you who don't know the story of Singapore, they got into that gridlock where everybody was corrupt and nothing could work. And a few individuals felt we cannot live life this way because nothing moved. Everybody was corrupt. It was the normal way of life. So Singapore is a port city. To clear your goods out of Singapore was impossible because of corruption. To do any little thing was impossible. It was a drug city. They got into a gridlock, like the one I've described, and they did not stay there for 10 hours. They stayed there for years. They were stuck. Until some 6 gentlemen woke up and said, we are going to unravel this gridlock, and we are not going to stay here. That's how Singapore was turned around to become the country that we admire today. And we all want to be like Singapore, but we want to be like the old Singapore, not the new one. Daniel Kaufman and Susan Rose Ackerman have demonstrated in their studies that corruption distorts public spending. Corruption actually discourages investment. Corruption weakens institutions. And corruption increases inequality. So rather than greasing the wheels, corruption actually puts sand into the engine. And instead of rewarding, it clogs the system. So that if we were to normalize corruption today, things would not be easier, they'll be worse. As I considered this question, I was reminded of an incident many years ago when I was a young man. Living in the village, one day a huge snake entered our house and disappeared under the bed. We looked for it everywhere, but could not trace it. I don't know what you would have done or advised us if you are our advisor in that situation. What we should have done. Should we just ignore it and continue with life? Because we couldn't find it. It had disappeared under the bed and gone in there. Brothers and sisters, fellow Kenyans, Africa is standing at a very remarkable moment in history. Across our continent, there is unmistakable momentum. Africa is known as the youngest continent in the world right now, with the average age hovering between 17 and 19. Which means we have a very high potential for the future that can give us great innovations, can contribute to growing markets, can renew everything that we have, and make Africa a global leader in every respect. Africa has the resources, and I'm sure you know. Almost all minerals of the world are to be found in our continent. Arable land is plenty. The forests that we enjoy in this continent, plenty. Singapore is smaller than Nairobi and is called a world leader. When I first went to Singapore, we were sitting in a conference. Actually, it was not even a conference, it was just a meeting. And this young Singaporean man stood up and said, in Singapore, we have nothing. We have no minerals. We have no agriculture. We have no industry. We have nothing. Even our water is not drinkable. The only thing we export is innovation and excellence. That's what they live on. They have nothing. While Africa, we have everything. Therefore, we have the potential to be global leaders in every respect. Africa has brains, many of which are sitting right here in this room this evening. So, if we are to take the Agenda 2063 that has been articulated by the African Union and implement it the way it has been envisioned, by the year 2063, Africa will be the place to go to. People will be fighting for visas to come to Africa, because this is where activity will be. Yet, unfortunately, unless we do something about corruption, 2063 is going to come and go. And we will be worse than we are now, because we are nurturing corrupt individuals. And we are raising men, young men and women who believe that corruption is the only way. While we look at our leaders as the people who are corrupt, believe you me, corruption now starts from a child. And there may be some who are seated here who are beneficiaries of corruption, because you cheated in exams at primary school, and so you know that you did not get the A that you are given or the B that you got. The teacher helped after talking on the side behind the tent. If we continue in that trajectory, we are going to find ourselves in very difficult situation. So, from where I sit, corruption is a snake under our bed. You may not see it, but once you know it is there, the entire room becomes unsafe. Accepting corruption as a necessary evil is like saying the snake under the bed performs a useful function in the house, like eating rats. So just leave the snake, it will eat the rats for us. It may sound clever, but not responsible, because any responsible person will not take a wink in that house, knowing that there's a snake under the bed. The most dangerous snakes is not the one crossing the road in broad daylight. The most dangerous snake is the one hidden in the room where people believe that they are safe. Corruption operates in a similar way. It hides behind procedures and disguises itself as discretion or influence. It often appears in the form of facilitation, connections, quiet arrangements that we make behind the scene. So institutions that may appear stable are actually undermined by this corruption in the system. And the greatest casualty of corruption is trust. Because when systems become corrupt, trust disappears. When citizens begin to believe that justice can be bought, that opportunities depend on connections rather than on merit, that laws apply only to the powerless, then the legitimacy of institutions begin to erode. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "The time is always right to do what is right." That time is now for us to do what is right. Because corruption thrives precisely where societies postpone doing what is right. And our moral decisions are shelved for expediency, which is what, unfortunately, we see in our society today. The men and women who should do the right thing prioritize their selfish ambitions instead of doing the right thing that would benefit all of us as a nation. So I ask myself, who should kill the snake? When there's a snake in the house, this becomes a redundant question as to who should kill the snake. Because when the snake enters the house, it is everybody's responsibility. When that snake entered our house, there was no issue of who is going to deal with the snake while we continue doing what we are doing things. Everybody left whatever they were doing to concentrate on finding this snake and getting it out of the house. No matter how urgent it was what you were doing, we all left what we were doing in order to concentrate on getting the snake outside of the house. The operation on that particular day was led by my dad as the head of the family. That is the responsibility of leadership. Even if you fear snakes, you must be the one at the front. So he led this operation of getting the snake out. We as children, we had to be involved. You couldn't say, "Oh, I have homework that I need to finish." You couldn't say, my mom couldn't say, "I have food on the fire that I need to cook." All of us got into this operation because the snake had to be removed before sunset, before darkness comes. And so it is the same way. It had to be dealt with decisively. In the same way, corruption as a serpent in our nation requires leadership. Leadership plays a decisive role in determining whether corruption flourishes or retreats. The ethical tone of a nation is often set by those who lead its institutions. When leaders tolerate corruption, corruption multiplies. When leaders excuse wrongdoing, integrity becomes optional. The snake broods and multiplies under the bed. The Nigerian author Chinua Achebe famously observed, "The trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a failure of leadership." And his observation resonates beyond Nigeria. When you see an institution that is collapsing under corruption, it is because at the top there is no leadership. Because leadership shapes expectations, shapes institutions, shapes behavior. When leaders demonstrate moral courage, instilling ethical practices, insisting on transparency, strengthening oversight mechanisms, enforcing accountability, corruption begins to lose ground. Leadership determines whether the snake remains hidden under the bed or is removed from the house. I told you that this was a collective effort. Children had to be part of this. Citizens in a country, members of an organization, children in a family, must participate in ensuring that things are done right. The fight against evil must involve citizens' participation. Snakes enter houses to find food or comfort. If the house is not cleaned and rats breed, they will attract snakes. If cracks and crevices remain unsealed, snakes will find their way into the house. A bribe requires two actors, one who demands it, the other who gives. In many cases, corruption begins with small compromises in everyday life. Like we have been told, cheating in exams, fake certificates, bribing traffic officers, evading taxes, manipulating procurement processes, protecting corrupt people because of ethnic or political loyalty. And we in EACC experience this all the time. Whenever we go to investigate or to arrest those who are suspected to be corrupt, it is ordinary citizens who rise up against us. Our people are being fought, and they protect those people who are corrupt. The uncomfortable truth is that national corruption often reflects private compromise. A society cannot eliminate corruption in public life while tolerating dishonesty in private behavior. The snake cannot be killed if you cannot allow us to look under your bed. If you say, huwezi angalia hapa, because you know the things you have hidden there, the snake will brood there and possibly produce snakelets. Are they called snakes? I don't know what these children of snakes are called. Let's call them snakelets. The more we repeat it in a university, now you'll be quoting me according to Oginde 2026. The snakelets. We cannot kill snakes, remove snakes, if you cannot allow us to look under your bed. The danger of normalizing corruption lies in saying it is a necessary evil. People say everyone does it. Then corruption becomes normal, and it becomes embedded in our everyday expectation. A society that learns to live with corruption is like a household that has learned to live with the snakes under the bed. Someone shouts, "There's a huge snake that I have seen go under the bed." And everyone shrugs their shoulders and says, "So what? So what?" Somebody shouts, 50 billion has been stolen through SHA. And we say, shida ni nini? Pesa ni ya babako. Sasa kuna shida nini? It means we have normalized corruption. John Gidongo has repeatedly emphasized that corruption thrives, and listen to this, corruption thrives when citizens lose their sense of outrage. Corruption thrives when citizens lose their sense of outrage. It means we have normalized it. You see things happen around you, and you do nothing about it. You see things happen, and you say nothing about it. It has become normal. Gidongo says, when wrongdoing stops provoking moral resistance, corruption slowly becomes normalized. The truth is, ignoring the snake may be okay for a while, but one day it is going to bite somebody. The problem in Kenya is that when the snake bites, we think it is mosquitoes. We assume that it is bed bugs that are disrupting our sleep. Yet the pain of corruption is all around us. We complain about tough economic times. We complain about unemployment. We are right now complaining about floods and many such anomalies that are all around us, but no one links them to corruption. That the money that would have unclogged the drainage was eaten by someone. That somebody was allowed to put up houses where they shouldn't have because they paid something. When buildings collapse, we don't realize that somebody may have looked the other side so that this thing happened. So the snake bites us, but we think it's bed bugs. It is not bed bugs. Very soon you are going to die out of poison. Corruption thrives when structural conditions exist, when power is concentrated, discretion is unchecked, accountability is weak, then corruption becomes inevitable. These conditions create cracks through which corruption enters systems. Just like snakes enter through small openings, cracks in the wall, gaps beneath doors, holes in the floor, corruption enters governance systems through institutional weaknesses, such as opaque procurement processes, political interference, and weak oversight. Why aren't we as citizens rising up and saying, this EGP, electronic government procurement system, should be implemented? The people who are refusing to implement it are the people who benefit from weak systems. That's why they will not accept it. Governors are saying, no, no, no. You know? And by the time they accept it, they will have already put crevices and cracks through which the snakes can enter into the system. Understanding these systemic vulnerabilities is very essential for building effective reforms. So, removing the snake requires the whole household to be involved, all of us, to expose it, to remove it, to kill it. Africa today is building a house for future generations, as I said. A house of opportunity, a house of dignity, a house of prosperity. But no house, no matter how beautiful, no matter how well done, can be safe while there are snakes under the bed. The former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan once observed, corruption hurts the poor disproportionately by divesting funds intended for development. Corruption, therefore, is not just an administrative problem. It is a moral problem. Frederick Douglass captured the essence of reform when he wrote, "Power concedes to nothing without a demand." Power concedes to nothing without a demand. Integrity in governance requires moral courage from leaders and citizens alike. To refuse compromise, to refuse shortcuts, to refuse theft, to refuse, so that when you see something evil, you stand up against it. We need leaders who can refuse compromise, like our Vice Chancellor gave the example. Enforce accountability from citizens who insist on transparency. In other words, the snake enjoying warmth in your house will not just slither away on its own. It must be removed by force. I didn't finish the story of the snake in our house, which we couldn't find. But this is what happened. When we had looked everywhere and we could not find the snake, somebody told us that snakes and smoke don't live together. Snakes and smoke don't dwell in the same place. So what did we have to do? Have you heard of something smoking it out? That's what we did. So we closed all the doors and we closed all the windows, and we were told particularly the smoke of tires of rubber will get the snake out. So we got an old tire, like the one they use for lynching, and lit it inside the house and filled the house with smoke. This poor serpent had to slither out, and it came out on its own accord. And we had the opportunity to hit it on the head. Brothers and sisters, corruption is not going to come out on its own. We need to smoke it. We need to make it difficult for the corrupt to live in our country. We need to ensure that they don't survive. Anywhere they turn, there is smoke. And you and I are the ones who will light that smoke. By refusing corruption to exist around us, by shouting when we see something wrong, We need to smoke out this snake from our house. And we who are in this room are enough. We don't need more. I told you about Singapore. 6 gentlemen, young men, fresh university graduates. They decided they are going to smoke the snake out. And the serpent had to slither out. And the country became what it is today. You and I, we can smoke these guys out. By the way, the corrupt are much fewer than we think. The greater majority of Kenyans are peace-loving Kenyans who just want to earn their ordinary livelihood. Is that the system is corrupt that some of us find ourselves in there. So, whether you see the snake or not, the effect is catching on all of us. If we are going to enjoy the benefits of our nation, we must smoke out the serpent. We in EACC have an advantage because we have been given the stick to hit the head. But we can't hit the head until it is smoked out. Are we together? So we need your help. Get those guys out and we'll hit them on the head. Because the law gives us the stick. The law gives us the power to be able to hit this snake wherever we see it. In the last 3 years, we have killed some snakelets. 133 asset recovery suits were filed in the last 3 years. Approximately 25 billion worth. 7.4 billion recovered from illegally acquired assets. We secured 72 convictions in corruption-related cases in the last 3 years. 10.7 billion in public funds was safeguarded through disruption. 41 system reviews conducted across ministries, departments, and agencies. System reviews is where we go into a house and we look at the cracks and the crevices and the holes where the snake might enter, and we seal them. We do that for ministries, we do that for government agencies, we do that for county governments. 41 of them we did in the recent past. Tomorrow we are launching another one. 17 county governments have been supported through risk assessment, corruption risk assessment in the last 3 years. These achievements are significant, and yet if you compare with what is actually happening, they are very small. It is very little. We need your help. We need your support. And I believe that if we work together, we can smoke out this snake. Thank you very much.
Kindly, let's appreciate Bishop more. You mean you can't even stand? After, you mean? Thank you very much. Kindly have your seats. I don't know how many of us feel the urgency of demanding accountability. How many in the room just have that urgency right now to demand a better country, better leaders. That means most of us in the room have been motivated and inspired by that snake analogy, which I've really liked. Thank you very much, Chair. That has hit home. It was so profound. At this point, per the program, it's a short session on experience sharing. We would wish to give a moment to the participants to just share your encounters of corruption, or even encounters of you removing the snake or smoking out the snake under the bed. Make your points concise, very brief, but what is important is for us to hear your story and what solution you offered. So we have somebody who will assist us with the mic, and let's just hear from a few of you, those who've encountered corruption, and what solution you offered. Yeah, here's the mic. Who will go first? You've not encountered corruption? Wow. Yeah, there's a gentleman there.
My name is Rafael Mulonzia. I'm a Master of Arts in Leadership student here. And the brief experience I'll share is that there's a price you pay.
I request just come in front.
There's a price you pay when you choose to do the right thing. And the question is, are you willing to pay that price? I was driving from Merwembu one day, and just after the intersection to Kerugoya, I was flagged down. I wasn't speeding. And the officer just was checking documents, checking the car, and he found a fault. And this is also another lesson. You want to avoid being flagged down, then avoid being in fault. Our VC, avoid being in fault. And the officer checked, and wow, what does he find? My driving license had expired 4 days before. I had no idea. And the reason I had no idea is because I had appointed someone, an agent of an insurance company, to be reminding me when that time comes. Trying to be a good citizen, I've actually hired someone to do that. And they also forgot. And the way it used to work out is that, well, 4 days before, Charles, please call me, and then you come and send the forms again. I'm going to fill, I'm going to make the payment, you're going to deliver my document. And so the officer said, okay, fine, wait. Ingiapa. And it was towards evening. And we started doing rounds. I don't know where we are going, and we are not going. And eventually he said, okay, fine, so you're going to Nairobi at this time. Maybe I should lock you up. I said, why do you lock me up? Because you've broken a traffic offense. You are driving a car without a valid driving license. Do you agree? Yes, I agree. So what do you want to do about it? Tumalize maneno. Just like our VC encountered. Long story short, I played hard to catch. And that's because in me, through my experience, all the teachings in church, or the teachings in the home, wherever I've been experienced or exposed, I knew this was wrong. And I was prepared to pay the price. And the officer said, okay, fine, I'm going to book you. And he did book me, took my driving license, gave me a sticker, and said, it was on a Friday, he said, on Monday, you appear at Kerugoya Court. I'm going to Nairobi. I haven't even got to Mwea, and I have to come back all the way at 8 o'clock to be in court. Well, of course, immediately after I was allowed to continue without now a driving license, But I asked him, so will I be arrested again? He said, no, you wouldn't be because you have a sticker. If you are arrested, show them this. Know that you're already a suspect. So watakuachilia tu. Because you're going to face a law. And immediately I called my agent. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. No. And well, by Saturday, we were sorting out those issues. But I went to Kerugoya on Monday. I was there by 8 o'clock. Means from Nairobi, you have to wake up at 4. And I appeared in court. Unfortunately, the charges had increased somehow. You attempted to run away after being stopped. There were 3 counts. And I remember when the judge asked, and I remember saying, Your Honor, I wasn't read that charge, luckily. Well, I have friends who are lawyers. I knew that the officer should read the charges to me when they are arresting me. So I'm afraid that wasn't read to me. The only offense that was read was that I was driving without a valid license. So yes, corruption, you want to fight it. There's going to be a price, and I think we've been taught enough and inspired enough to pay that price, because you have to do it if you want this thing to end. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The purpose of sharing our experiences is to focus on our lived realities and just speak a few points in terms of which sectors are citizens hurting most because of corruption. In different forums, we've been picking the areas that citizens have encountered corruption, and that speaks to police. This session has, he has mentioned of police. In other forums we've also had police. So it also aligns with our annual surveys that we normally conduct every year, where police still has a challenge on that. Because time is not really on our side and he has taken much of our time, we might give one person. Please make it concise, just make it brief, and then we proceed to the next.
Thank you so much. Through the moderator, writing on all protocols, may I say thank you to Dr. Nginde for the presentation. And many times when we talk about corruption, it's like we also need to be educated. In the sense that there are some words which we confront with them daily and also act. Words like thank you. Words like reciprocating on a matter. Words like appreciation. And words like giving animation. Where is the dichotomy of all those words with corruption? Because many times it's like they also become the breeding ground of corruption. So how can we handle that? Not based on the dictionary, but on our daily life. How to handle those words. If I want to say thank you to somebody, I may extend my gift. How does it translate? So that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't think, okay, just give it to him as the last person, because we still have a session on plenary at the point of the panel discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. All protocol observed. I'm Handa Fred. Me, I've faced more than 3, but I hope I'll be very brief. There was one when I was in campus, especially in my final year. I had paid a visit to one of the comrades, and it was around 10. Now I was now coming back to the hostel. Then eventually, I met three police officers, 2 male and 1 female. And at that time, those people knew very well that I'm a student leader. Now, to make the matter worse, one of the officers said that, where are you coming from? And now it is 10. And I told them, I just went to check this friend of mine. She had prepared a nice meal for me, because in the school hostels, you don't prepare meal. And eventually, at that time, I was carrying kuku fry onto the bag. Then the lady, who was the officer, looked at the meal and said, hey, it has been really prepared well. Is this one your girlfriend? I said that, no, I don't want to answer those questions. He said, since it is late, we are going to put you on the OB that we have found you people on the street. Or at least you can do something. I told them, okay, it's very nice. I hope I've been spending in sales, and I hope it is a very nice place for men. And it is this only lady that will have a difficult task. Then when we went to the cell, one of the officers came and said, Fred, I hope you can just give 1,000, because it will be complicated. It is Friday. You will be taken to court on Monday. Remember, you will spend here Saturday and Sunday. I told them, now, it's also better that I experience the full wrath of the court, because here I have the food, and ensure that when I go to court, I have this food with me. It should not remain here. But eventually, at that time, something came, and I called our Vice Chancellor and explained actually what happened. Then the news had also gone to the school, and everyone knew that Fred has been locked. By 6 a.m., students were like mammoth on the police gate. I was just told, please, you just leave here. We don't want mayhem. That's how I solved that. And in the last 2 weeks, there is one person that called me and said, Fred, we are offering a job with Diamond Trust Bank. And I know you have a good skills. Now, since the deadline was on Friday, and the people are supposed to attend the interview by Monday, I hope you can send me the documents so that by Monday you ensure that you attend the interview there. And ask him, whom are you? He told me the name. But nowadays we are very smart. If you Google, if somebody is even a VC, you are able to see through the net. I checked and I found that this name does not exist in Diamond Trust Bank. I told him, okay, fine. At what time? And told me, you just come to our main branch. Now, on the eve of Sunday, the person called me and said, Fred, you know, HR said that at least she just want to confirm you. Why don't you just send 20,000 and so that you should be 100% sure of the job? I told him, okay, fine. What we can do, I don't want to offer 20,000. I want to offer, how much is the salary? And the person said it is 150. I said, fine. Now, I hope what we can do, I can offer more than 20,000. Let me go and get the job. Then after end month, I'll offer that salary of mine the whole month, and so that even you, the boss, will be able to give you the chance. Eventually, that's how that person disappeared. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Clearly, you encountered bribery and you dealt. So I'll sum it up by saying, corruption kills dreams. Corruption steals your future, my future. Corruption is personal. And we must do something individually and collectively. And the hope is in the fact that integrity restores our dreams. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Angana for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joyce. Can we give Joyce a good round of applause? So I think we are almost coming to an end, but I want us to do this next session in a very systematic way so that we do it once. So we have our guests that we invited to just shed some light, especially on the reflections by our chief guests. So I want to invite them at the front. Maybe I will request our team to help us to remove this from here, then this is how I want us to conduct this session. I want us to ask the questions, and then we will, at least 1 or 2 questions we can give to each of the plenary. Then after that, we'll give them an opportunity to then just give their reflections based on our chief guest, speech and reflections around that. Does that sound better? So allow me to invite the guests who will have a brief engagement with them here. Then we will start winding up as we close. So first is Honorable Shakil Shabir, Member of Parliament, who is also the chairperson of Africa Parliamentarian Network Against Corruption. Welcome, Mheshimiwa, to the front. You know, in church you are told you clap until somebody reaches there. Then we have Dr. Susan Kinyeki, who is the Deputy Director, EACC. Then we have Ms. Trufosa Achar, who is Director, National Anti-Corruption Campaign Steering Committee. Then we have our also, PAC community. We want to hear from them. We have Dr. Solomon Munyao, who is the head of leadership department. And then we have Ms. Linda Akitela, who is a former chairperson of Pan-African Christian University Students Association, and also a youth leader in her own right, but also a postgraduate student within the university. So welcome. And as I say, first is, let's hear the questions from the plenary first. If you have questions pertaining corruption in one or another, there's a hand at the back. And then there's also another hand, the 2 hands here.
2 brief questions. One, what the effect or the role of the church? How effective are we in the fight against corruption, owing to the fact that some of our church leaders have compromised by receiving proceeds of corruption? And the last one, we have heard, especially the investigators, we have only heard the cases of the small fish. When are we hearing the big fish being arrested? Because our money is disappearing every day.
Okay, thank you very much. So allow me to ask Dr. Munyao, you will answer the question on the role of the church. And then Dr. Susan Kinyeki, you will answer the one, where is the big fish? Yes, where is the big fish? Okay, so there was another hand.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Makweri Medusela. Before I ask my question, I'll frame it this way. Each and every person of us comes from a family. And I was reading somewhere, Confucius was saying that if you want to make a great nation, you need to have great families. And you need to have great families, you need to have great people. Now, what do you think is the collective responsibility of a family geared towards curbing, or not really terming, I'm avoiding to use that word, curbing corruption, maybe lessening it? What is the collective responsibility so that we see things coming from the ground up because each and every person is coming from a family, and what we are seeing as a nation is the conglomerate of things that are expressed in different families coming together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will ask Ms. Trufosa to pick that up. Then there were two hands here at the front. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Anne Avakute here, and I do mentorship, and I would love to hear how a preventative measure on corruption could be driven to the society through the school programs, where I think it was mentioned about the school programs having integrity.
Yeah.
I would be more than glad to be assisted or to know how through the mentorship program I can reach out to the schools.
Okay. So we'll ask Honorable Shabir. You will take that up, combined with some of the things that the government is trying to inculcate in schools around values, especially with the CBE. There were two hands here at the front. Oh, okay. And then we have these two hands, then we can answer those ones.
Thank you. Mine will be so different in perspective. I remember when I was doing masters, and there was a discussion about what can it be done, because I saw Dr. Gilbert ask about it for the scholars. How can we contextualize research on corruption? And I remember all the lecturers said there's no way you can research on corruption. Notwithstanding, mine will go to Honorable Shakir. I want to contextualize corruption as what we see. There is no seamless flow in Nairobi town. Is it possible that we can spend billions of money building Thika Road only to have flyovers as stalls or where people sell? To me, that's corruption. Can we be able to achieve the Singapore dream when the whole of Nairobi is where people cook at the city center, where everybody is full, where there is stealing of what we have? For example, before the rains came, there was a long period for a dry season. EACC says it appraises systems. Were you able maybe to appraise the city council of Sakaja that rains are coming? Are you now doing the drainage? Because God gave us time to prepare. Nothing was prepared.
Yeah.
Then when we say we have people selling second-hand, how do we call it? Hawa wanachukua chuma wanaenda kuuza. So such a thing should not be existing, because I was looking at the highway and all the steels, all the steel rods are not there because people have taken them. To me, this is corruption. And maybe to the church to mince it all and to sum up. Maybe we should say, other than the 10 laws, commandments, there should also be the commandments of abusing nature. And that is corruption, in my opinion.
Okay, so that's quite a mouthful there, Mheshimiwa. So you'll try and see how to act. Maybe one more here, then we do the first round, then we can do the second round.
Yes, thank you. My questions are two. My first one is, I don't know where it will be directed to, but I think it has happened in the past that, yes, I know, okay. Hello, yes. So my question was, it has come at a time when some of us, the youth, kuna wakati tumesema adui ni DCI. So like when somebody is trying to show to ask for accountability, then unatafutwa, you are looked for. So how safe are those people who are asking for accountability? Mostly the youth, because they target people who are inferior. Another one on the same is most of the youth, I'll use myself as an example. We are not very friendly with the court. We have a fear for that process, because on my own reason, sometimes one person said it here, that you go to court and you find your how do they call them? Makosa yako, it has been doubled. Some you don't even understand how they came about. So sometimes you are forced to engage in corruption just to avoid that situation, because you don't know what will face you tomorrow. So how can we deal with that as we fight with corruption? Thank you.
Also, Ms. Trufosa, you'll try and also, as a result of the campaigns and so on, you maybe add some meat into that. And then the issues around courts and you know, how the court also works with the system. Maybe I would ask Dr. Kinyeki to try and also add into that. So we can start with you, Dr. Kinyeki, then we can proceed.
Thank you very much, Moderator. I wish to ride on the protocols that were initially established. Now, the question is, we have cases of small fish. When will we see the big fish? I want to say 4 things. First, no fish is born big. All fish start from small. Secondly, I want to ask ourselves, the issue of small fish, it is really an attitude. In this room, can we equate ourselves to small fish? Are we the proverbial Wanjiku that they talk about? Thirdly, statutorily, as an Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, we do what we call quarterly reports. These are reports that we tell Parliament, because the law requires us to report to Parliament after every 3 months. We tell Parliament that these are the cases that we have investigated, this is what we have found. So I want to invite us, all of us in this room, to really socialize themselves with our reports, which are discussed in Parliament. They are available online. Secondly, we also have our annual report. When you talk about small fish, suspects that we interview at Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, they are not what you will call small fish. It just so happens that cases that are dispensed are that which is seen by the Wanjiku. The third thing I want to talk about is the issue of plugging. When you talk about small fish, oftentimes what comes in mind is the 50 shillings for the policeman. But I can tell you, I've had the opportunity of working as a regional manager, and I've arrested many policemen. I've also arrested governors. And we as a commission have also arrested many PSS, CEOs, etc. So I just want to say one thing in terms of a story. This is whereby a small kid used to steal, and the mother never used to tell the child that what you're doing is wrong. As mothers, we have parents that come home, we have, let's talk about the campus. We have iPhones that come home. And you know very well, my 19-year-old cannot afford an iPhone. What are they doing? They are maybe stealing my money or stealing the employer's money. So this child, what they did, they were convicted of stealing. In this particular instance, they had stolen a phone. They were convicted. But before they went into prison, they said, I want to tell my mother something. Then the court orderly said, it's okay. So they went and told the mother and this is what they did. They went and beat the ear of the mother so hard that blood started oozing out. The issue is this. When we talk about them versus us, it is not like that. Corruption is more or less like HIV and AIDS. You are either in it or you are with it. So, members, I just want us to remove this perception that there is small fish and big fish. Constitutionally, we investigate all manner of corruption. I have the privilege, by God's grace, I'm in charge of the reports and data management. And I can tell you, I receive all manner of complaints on a day-to-day basis. And we don't differentiate. The law does not allow us to differentiate what to investigate and what to investigate. We take all of them. What happens is that in a court process, the small fish, because of the evidential material, it tends to come very fast. You're forgetting that the small fish are not able to enlist the services of a lawyer. But the big fish, you see a battery of lawyers waiting and ready to defend. So there is nothing like the small fish or the big fish. We are all in it, and no fish is going to escape the constitutional oil. Thank you.
Thank you. Bwana sifiwe. Like the bishop, my friend started. Firstly, I'd like to ask you guys a question. You stand up, tell me who has an ID and who has a voter's card. I can guarantee you that more than 50% of you do not have a voter's card. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'm here. Okay. All of you have voter's cards. All of you. Students, all of you have got voter's card. You see, that's where we start. That's where we start. You can talk, but your action at the elections will not be effective. I stand for APNAC, the African Parliamentarians Against Corruption. We leave investigations to EACC. We are there to try and develop ethics, responsibility, and fight corruption at legislative level. I have something in front of me which I've taken many times. There are 4 levels of where you stand. The first level is there's no problem on corruption. The second level is there is a problem, but there's nothing I can do about it. The third level, there is a problem, but what can I do? Can I learn more to do about it? Number 4, I'm ready for action. And I think 95% of you are not. Number 5, I'm willing to demonstrate the solution to others. Now I want to, before I answer the question on school program, etc., I want to answer that car problem that Bishop brought up. One car has overlapped, and there's a trailer on the other side, and their car's stuck, and the other side is a gutter. So you're going to wait 6 hours for somebody else to do something about it. There are countries I know. One is India, one is Vietnam, there's another one is China. You know what they would have done? Collectively, they would have pushed the car off the road into the gutter. That is the answer. Philippines, they do that. I have sat no more than 10 feet away from Duterte, if you know Duterte. Duterte was throwing people off the helicopter. Philippines has changed. There is not so much drug dealers. He threw people off the helicopter, and he said to the human rights people, when I'm finished, you can come and charge me, you can take me to court, you can even execute me. He's retired. Nobody is touching him. So it requires one person, but more importantly, it requires a community. And I think that is where we must stand, as a community, as a society, as a family. You've asked me about school program. You know, you've asked me one number of things. I'm just going to relate to you something about Singapore that came up when I was the Member of Parliament for the second term. Was it the first term under the Kibaki regime? We went to Mombasa to talk about how we can get our country back on track. Somebody said, after being in long discussions on leadership, what if we bring all of Singapore to Kenya and take the Kenyans to Singapore? Leadership, I mean, they're talking about leadership. All the MPs go to Singapore and the Singaporeans come here. I swear upon God that the answer that came from our parliamentarians was Nita kula yote, Nita haribu. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I have sat in Parliament now for 4 terms. I've been a mayor of Kisumu for 2 terms. We are only going to change what we can change from where we can change and stand out. So that's the point. School program, infrastructure, flyover, rains, all of those are symptoms of a decaying society. The Roman Empire and others. What are you going to do about it? You guys. My time is over. I'm 72 years old. What are you guys going to do about it? So we have started something called a citizens' participation. We've started something as APNAC, and we call it the Shahidi program. Because people are scared to whistle blow. But we have an anonymous program called Shahidi on your phone. Go to Play Store, go to Shahidi, register. If you come up with something which is sensible, we would send you a cryptocurrency as a saying, okay, yes, that's very good. Then you give us more information and we put it and work with our partners. So those are things we are trying to do. We are sad that Gitongo is where he is. We're sad that all the whistleblowers are where they are. What we can do about the education, you can hear about ghost schools. You can hear about but somebody has an account into which that money is going. Somebody has an account. EACC unafanya nini je? I feel that is one you need to investigate in great detail. I also feel that EACC should be given prosecutory powers. When you go to Malaysia and others, they have prosecutory powers. The members of parliament say, hey, give EACC prosecutory powers and all of us will be in. That's not bad. If there was one time I muzzed over, give me the presidential powers for 6 months. I will hang Patnis and everybody there in national, we'll hang them. Then people will be scared. The problem in this country is impunity. And the other problem in this country is punishment does not be effective. You have to go to court, you have to do this, you have to do this. I sit with a guy who was imprisoned. I went to court, he was in prison there for about 6 months. And now he's released and he's back in parliament. And so I asked, he says, but no, you see, we haven't exhausted all the legal remedies. So I ask, in France, you are guilty unless proved innocent. Yeah. Why can't we go that way? So I can't answer this issue of food program infrastructure, but I can tell you one thing. This infrastructure bond that we are doing is the beginning of the end. And if we don't do something about it properly, who has heard of the one MDF in Malaysia? Who's heard about that? Same thing. That destroyed the leadership and destroyed much of Malaysia. We are lucky that we were in Malaysia at the time. Transparency International and APNAC, namely Jokowi Madiwo, myself, and a few others, went on stage when the president of Malaysia was to open the anti-corruption conference. 2015, look it up. We made a change. You go to Malaysia now and you say you're Kenyan, they will respect you. So we have to make a change. We were told that's what will happen. We were to be, you can't go to, even my ambassador told me, you can't go to a country and embarrass the president. We did. So those are the sort of things I can answer to you. I could speak as eloquently or even as my bishop. But the problem is nobody will listen. And I want to finalize with one thing. Even one person makes a difference. One person will make a difference. Today, as I was coming here at the slip road, I found a small car. They said it was an Uber. Going the wrong way around, coming into the petrol station. It blocked about 6 cars, including mine. So the driver was saying, oh, songa kidogo, songa kidogo. I said, no. Let us deal with this guy. We got out. We wanted to talk to him. He was still an Uber. I have people here. We take the number. We're going to report it to Uber. That's how you start. Report it to Uber. I was the mayor of Kisumu. There was a place that there was no right turn. Bishop, you must know this. And everybody turned right. I was in the car with the flag and I told the driver, what are you doing? He said, but you're the father of Kisumu. I said, just right, turn left. Now when you go to Kisumu, the same place, the governor has put a barrier so you cannot do the other way. So I think the end of the story is this. It is up to you. What will you do about it? We have done what we can. In Parliament at one time, people used to just turn up and sign for other people. And in my first term, I used to sit there and cancel them. They lynched me, nearly lynched me. But we have a system now that works. Unless they're going to cut off your finger. You know, that is not working. So what I'm trying to suggest here is not me.
Yeah.
There are people like Gitongo. There are others who have put their head out. But I came to this university to expect you as the youth to do something rather than ask me problems. There is no, you're in leadership. There is no short-term solution to a long-term problem. So don't expect anything like that. So let's do something together. There's the Shahidi program. If at the end of this, and I have my chief of my secretariat sitting here, if at the end of this, and you don't even need anything to register, I can find even 5 of you registered, then I think I've made a difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's up to us to stand up. Ms. Rufasa?
Yeah, thank you, Moderator Gilbert. And thank you, the audience participants and the commissioners, including the chair. I have 2 questions. How safe are our youth in the justice system, if I go to the question right? And the second question I have is on the way I paraphrase it is, what is the place of family, the first institution that we go into growing up in the fight against corruption, if I got those 2 questions right. I'm sorry I didn't get the name of the people who answered the question, but I know they're in the crowd. So I'll start by the question, how safe the youth are in our justice system. I want to say without fear of contradiction that you are safe. And why do I say that? Number one, We have policies, we have laws, we have institutional framework in place in Kenya, and we also have them nationally, internationally, and in Kenya. And those laws and those policies, they exist to protect you and to protect me. So to protect the youth, to protect me as an adult, to protect the child, number one. Number two, I want to say that under our Bill of Rights, and that is the Constitution, and I have come to love this famous phrase in Kenya, haki yetu. Under the Bill of Rights, everyone enjoys those rights. Haki yetu, same to the youths, and same to me, and you, and everyone who is not a youth in this place, and even at home in Kenya. But I also want to say that where the right of the youth starts and ends, mostly where the right ends, the right of another Kenya starts. And so the other thing I want to say is, when you are given a right under the policy and legal framework that we've talked about, and the institutions that exist to protect you as a youth, or to protect me or any other Kenyan, we also have related measures of responsibilities that have been given under the same law. So the youth are safe, they are protected under the Constitution, they have haki yetu or haki yenyu under the Bill of Rights, but in the same Constitution or in the same laws that have given us, and particularly the youth, the rights under the Bill of Rights, the same constitutions have also placed in place different limitations to those rights. And that goes that where your right ends, somebody else's right starts. And I want to just bring us to the recent scenarios. You all know I don't know whether it was Gen Z's uprising, where you took us by surprise, and we realized actually there's no leadership vacuum. There's no vacuum. I don't know whether I should say nyinyi ni leaders wa kesho ama nyinyi ndio leaders wa sasa. That's for you to answer. But I want to say that the right to assemble or picketing or demonstration is a constitutional right. But as we're enjoying that right, as you're enjoying that right.
So, research defends your point. 73% of young people, according to the Kenya Youth Survey of 2016, I know researchers would want to give me a side eye on, your data ni ya kitambo. But still, because that's what we have, we can use that. 73% of young people say, we are not going to speak up, And 6, coincidentally, Daktari was saying 6 young people from Singapore started the revolution against corruption. In Kenya, 6 out of 10 will take a bribe when no one is seeing. I said nearly, so it can be anywhere beyond 6 or before 6. They are willing to take corruption. And these are young people, right? These are people we're preferring as candidates of 2027 election. I think we should prepare for doomsday in this country, where we say young people are the hope, but statistics doesn't reflect that. And I know research is subject to social desirability when people are answering these questions. And as researchers, we try as much as possible to make our questionnaires to be, let them answer themselves when they're excluded so that they can not influence each other in their answering. But that is very worrying, that even the generation that we want to bank on to transform the country, despite them fearing this institution, they are still willing to participate. If you're willing to participate, then why fear the institution? You might as well start learning early how to navigate the system, because that's what we're telling ourselves. So I hope that answers the question. There are perceived fears and the actual fear. I am a pastoralist from Turkana. We always say the only way to know if your goats or kettles have been stolen is to start looking at the neighbors. Don't start looking at where yours are actually, whether they're still there or there. Just go to the jirani, okay? You will find out whether yours are there or not. So if you find you being offended, go to the system. I will be so disappointed because I sit at various forums where policy is concerned. That's basically what I do. And Kenya has always said we have youth-friendly justice services. I think I can attest to the justice, these magistrate courts, they're all in justice systems, right? They do have young youth something, and it was a program, it is interned. The only problem we have is they have not paid them, but they are there. So if you haven't interacted with one, it's always good to just ask, because they're there. It's not because absence of evidence is not absence of the crime, right? That's what they say. So they're there. If we haven't, let's just ask them around. I'm going to try and touch on the aspect of educational systems and how they integrate all these corruption issues. In research, we're just coming on to learn this aspect of why are we producing knowledge that we are not testing to the people, to the community? Because we want to study non-existent problems. We just want to sound smart in your thesis title. You know, you think someone has never studied this. Let me study this. But corruption is in your bedroom. Why not study corruption? Or just because, it's a common topic, everyone has studied, why will I contribute? You're going to contribute the cognitive aspect of corruption. Corruption has been proven to be a moral issue. Do we have psychologists studying corruption in a more scientific approach, where we put corrupt people in a study lab and then uncorrupt ones in their study lab and study their brain and the relationship in their cognitive thinking and just realize, when do these corrupt, at what stage do they develop? When they're 18 or when they're 35? Yeah. So we know what to tame and what to kill at what stage also. Because I think we are missing a multidisciplinary approach to the issue of corruption. I would really, really challenge. I know I'm an overthinker, but I think if we study people who have been convicted by corruption more than once, we can find some brain cell somewhere responsible for corruption. Or maybe we might not find one. So I don't really know what is going on over there. I have never been convicted of corruption. Not now, not never. I have to make that clear, because also I'm invited, and having served as a president here before might say, it can be an evidence of integrity, right, Dean? Yeah, okay, but I'm done. Thank you so much.
So good point. Good point there. And in this country, people say never. There are people who have said, I will not resign until, or I will not do this, and then what happened? I'd rather die. So thank you so much for the reflections from the panelists. And I think because of time, and I know a few questions are still here, we have an opportunity for us to interact directly with the guests as we maybe find a cup of tea somewhere that we have prepared. So I want to request that we have that opportunity to engage one-on-one, so that then we're able to wind up this session. But there are some very good reflections that have come out of here. And I think that's the essence of this session, was to spark some action into us, that it is us. We need to, corruption starts and ends with us. So if we think that it is the legislative, if we think that it is the other lobby groups, I think we are shelving our, our rights or our actions to other institutions, yet it starts and ends with us. I can assure you that the story that the VC has told us, at least he had an opportunity to call someone to bring the 10,000. There are many other Kenyans who don't have an opportunity to actually call someone to give the 10,000. So what happens? We have our courts, our prisons that are full of petty cash, petty thieves who are not able to do what? To give the fine, the what? So that means that the cost of compliance is actually higher. So how do we also make the cost of compliance easier? Today, We could be here walking, you have an you rush because there's an emergency somewhere. Somehow, because your mind is also really, really focused on the emergency, you make a wrong traffic mistake. Then what happens? You are stopped. Of course, the police tells you, you know, I know you're in a hurry, so you do that something. And you're in a hurry for sure. What do? You do that something, isn't it? And the reality is most of us do. So how does it start and stop with us? Then now we move to the institutions and socialize them and challenge them. Look, there is an opportunity to pardon and give them an opportunity, you know, those leeways to pardon. Like police, they can pardon and say, okay, this is your first time, but I've recorded you somewhere in the system. I like what has happened now. NTSA have started doing something. And then who are the people who are making noise? Us. And say, is it as per the law? Is it really right? And then they've started going to data governance discussions and say, so how can we stop corruption if we are the people who are hindering from creating systems at work? And I think that's the question that all of us are moving from here with. And allow me to stop here and really appreciate. Yes, please, yes.
I go all over the world and speak about corruption. APNAC, GOPAC, and TI are partners. We were born together in 1999. I go around the world, and the question is in the TI perception meets us everywhere. And police is number one. And I ask, that is corruption of survival. What about grand corruption? What are you doing about grand corruption? So as a former police reservist, I'll tell you one thing. A police officer here is paid less than the dog that he uses to go and smell. A police officer here is lucky to be paid 30,000 shillings a month, if that, of which some much more goes. I want to tell you for a fact that if my children are hungry for 2 days, 3 days, I will steal. No doubt about it, I will steal. So will you. The question here is this. We have to start putting it in perspective. Somebody asked about the big fish and the small fish. We have to start putting it in perception. When we go to New York and we are told Kenya is very corrupt and you're number 134 out of 188, I said, who, on what basis do you decide what is corruption? Corruption was never in our vocabulary. What is corruption? And how do you base it? Corruption is theft, first and last. Corruption also, when you keep telling the police officer he's corrupt, his child who is in school is told by the children that daddy, they tell you, you are very corrupt. So when daddy now comes to hear this from his child that's very corrupt, and he meets you on the road, you've been hit by a gangster and you come up to the guy and says, I was corrupt. So what to chukue? But the situation is, we have to talk to our NGOs. We have to talk to these guys who are, it is very good for TI to tell us corruption index. They are doing so because the Western world wants them to tell you this is the criteria on which we discuss corruption. If we turn it round and say grand corruption first, then we are not down there. We may be in the middle. Grand corruption is taking place even in Denmark, even in Singapore. But the thing is, once it's found, it is dealt with severely. In China, they execute. So what we're trying to tell you also, let's be proud of what we have. Civil service in Kenya was one of the best in the British Empire. the civil service of Kenya, the civil service of India was one of the best, even better than civil service in England. What happened to our civil service? So those are the things. If you're not being paid enough on meritocracy, in meritocracy, you're not being paid enough. I have officers who have worked 30 years and never been promoted and passed all the examinations. Now what are you going to tell that guy? He says, the only way I can get is somebody to help me to get a promotion. No, the system must be there. So when you talk to the police officer, the police in charge, IG, he says, what can I do? Somebody's taken us to court and at the police oversight board. Finally, I sat on CKRC. Wendy, come on, Mimi, 1992. I was tear-gassed. 97. All that time we've been tear-gassed. But when we sat on the Constitution review, we made constitutional commissions. EACC is one. IEBC is another. There's so many. All of them have been, what's the word? Most of them, even the judiciary. We have been, what is the word? The handicap, not handicap. The
captured.
Huh? Gagged, not gagged even. Like I went to South Africa, they said, somebody said in South Africa that our parliament has been captured or whatever, state capture. I told him state capture started in Kenya. We are the experts of state capture. Each of these institutions, including EACC, you can get all those things done. And I like what you're doing. And you've got some very senior, very capable officers, but we don't give you the budget to buy those guys. And you're coming against those advocates who are charging 20,000, 50,000 shillings an hour. And you cannot pay your prosecutor. And when you pay your prosecutor, he does his job and it goes to the DCC. And they don't prosecute. What can you do?
Yeah.
Blow the whistle. And I think we are state captured, parliament is captured, judiciary is captured, but she's fighting for it. I think all our state officers, and especially the police, are not as bad as we say. It's only the situation that is capturing us. If the police officer cannot pay for his children. And by the way, a police officer who starts in Denmark is paid £6,000 a month at the lower level. So that's what we're doing. We need to move everybody up in certain ways and make sure that when we are blaming the police officer, we're blaming this, we're blaming that, it starts with us. It will end with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Maybe just a final comment also from Dr. Susan as we wind up.
Final comment, I'll be real quick. I'll just speak about 3 things. Number 1, in the backdrop of the very motivational speech that we have had from our chief guest, if I mention a name, tell me whether it's a snakelet or it's a snake. YT2. Lenol Kunal. Lenol Kulal, Governor Lenol Kulal. Kiamba. Kiamba is a snake. Wambua. Wanjiko. Oswago. IBC CEO. Is that a snake or?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see, there is presumption of innocence. That's a second point. Somebody is talking about Wamatangi. He's here to take plea. And for us, we are very careful to mention people's names before they take plea. Because in this country, we have what we call presumption of innocence. And I want us to go this evening knowing that the law sees you as innocent until proven guilty. So yes, we have had some suspects like the ones being mentioned here, but they remain suspects until they take plea. And even if they have taken plea, Article 99 is very clear that you must exhaust all channels for you to be passed as corrupt ab initio. The last thing I want to say is this. In criminology, we have theories, and it's very interesting that my sister there talked about theories of criminals. Criminals tend to have high cheeks, big bones, wide eyes, etc. This evening, as you go home, I want you to remember this. Please don't look at your neighbor. Those are just theories. This evening, as you go home, I want you to think about one thing. There's what you call the sunshine test. Whatever you are about to do, would you do it in broad daylight? Yeah. If you cannot do it in broad daylight, then report that to 1551. Yeah. That is our toll-free. I submit.
Thank you very much. Can we give a round of applause to our panelists? As they take their seats, can you just give them a round of applause? We can take our seats. Yes.
There is an amendment in Parliament that even if you are giving person guilty, innocent until proven guilty, there is going to be a limit. It cannot be in the magistrate's court more than 6 months. It cannot be in the more high court more than 3 months. It cannot be in the appeals court 3 months. So that if you add all those, is what, 12 months. And after 12 months, they will be charged. I'm talking about Anglo Leasing, I'm talking about Putney, I'm talking about others, that when they get up to a certain situation, they say there is no evidence. So if it is now done that within 1 year of you being charged, you must be proven innocent or guilty. Yeah. So that there is a limit. Then you cannot go and play around with the judge and say, so-and-so was sick today, so-and-so was not like this. We want, that is with the Singapore you're talking about. Yes. Singapore is only 3 months, my friend. They're not even 3 months. China is 1 month. And China actually is not even 1 month. If you are proven guilty, sitting here, you are taken straight and being executed. Hakuna maneno mingi. So I think that is what we need to do. We need effective punishment.
Thank you.
And I speak this as a politician. My colleague cannot say what I have just said. Yeah. So I've said I borrowed her words and put it in my name. It's in my name. Yeah. And if somebody asks, I say, yes, it is the case. It's coming to us in Parliament. Whether we'll pass it or not, that we don't know. Bishop, you'll pray for us.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for the panelists. Can we give them a clap for their insights? We can have our seats. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. That's Dr. Susan, Ms. Tufosa. Thank you very much, Linda and Dr. Munyao. So allow us to then move towards closure, and I want to invite, because I know there are a number of us also who have some evening classes somewhere. So I want to invite Joyce and Grace to lead us into the next session of just appreciating our guest speaker and our panelists here. Okay, come on, Grace. Okay, so I'll also want to invite the VC and the VC to also be here at the front. Okay, so VC would wish that you appreciate our chief guest for, despite, sometimes we take for granted that he has been here with us, he's still here with us, but every time we call upon our guest, today chief guest, he always shows up and supports us in various other avenues. So we want to take this opportunity really for you to appreciate him, and we want to call upon Dr. David Oginde to come in front for the VC to appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you, VC. We also want to allow the VC to appreciate the guests from EACC who have also, supported us in this discussion. Allow me to invite Ms. Trufosa Achar to join us. Yes, from Director National Anti-Corruption Campaign Steering Committee. Allow me to also invite Dr. Susan Kinyeki from EACC. DVC don't, yes, you're still the one who is allow me also to invite Honorable Shakil Shabir. Okay. Allow me also to invite Commissioner Colonel Retired Alfred Mshimba. And finally, I know he's the next speaker coming after all this occasion is Commissioner CPA John Ogalo. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, TVC. And let me pass this baton to Joyce.
Okay, thank you very much for that session. Since it's an exchange of gifts session, I'll invite our chairperson and also the commissioners so that we gift the institution our gift. Kindly, the chair, the vice chancellor, and the two commissioners join us upstate. No. Surrounded by, then you give commissioner, we request you to go the other side, then commissioner this side. Yes. Yes. Wait, sorry. Yes, yes. This is for Dr. Gilbert.
Okay.
Grace, this is yours. And the lady, Madam Linda Akitela. Thank you very much for your insights. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'll request Commissioner Ogalo to remain with us for the vote of thanks on our end. Oh, okay, yes. And Chair and Commissioner can proceed.
Just one moment.
The chief guest, EACC chairperson, Dr. David Oginde, EBS, the Vice Chancellor of Pan-African Christian University, Professor Kiambi. Allow me at this point, in the interest of time, to ride on the protocol that was ably established by the DVC. It is indeed my great pleasure and privilege to extend a vote of thanks on behalf of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC. First, I would like to appreciate the university fraternity led by the Vice Chancellor, Professor Kihika Kiambi, for collaborating with the EACC and the Kenya Leadership and Integrity Forum, CLIF, in hosting this particular campus edition. We appreciate the opportunity to engage with the young people in advancing a united front in the promotion of integrity. I also must sincerely thank the chief guest, Dr. Oginde, for delivering a profound keynote address to this particular forum, and more so for debunking the notion that corruption can be tamed. I think that now is dead and buried, and for it comes maybe as a disappointment for those aspiring PhD students who are thinking of using that as a research topic. Now you have to go back. You have to go back to the drawing board. That corruption is not to be tamed. It is not safe to tame corruption. You may think about killing it, but I think there's a risk of offending the 6th of the 10 commandments, which says, "Thou shalt not kill." So maybe you want to think about something like eliminating corruption as opposed to taming it or even killing it. A very special recognition goes to all the students and the young people who are present for this particular moment, for finding time to join the dialogue. Can we really eliminate corruption? Now I'm paraphrasing. Can we really eliminate corruption, or is it a necessary evil in today's society? Your presence and contribution is greatly appreciated. As a commission, we aim to actualize our mission of integrity and values-driven Kenyan society. Therefore, engagements of this nature serve as our commitment to advancing integrity at all levels of the Kenyan society. We do extend our gratitude to the stakeholders of the Kenya Leadership and Integrity Forum, CLIF, led by Honorable Shabir, MP for Legislature Sector, and others drawn from the Civil Society, Office of the Attorney General, State Department for Youth Affairs, Creative Economy, the National Youth Council, for your participation during this forum. Thank you so much. I also want to thank all the participants who have followed this event through the various social media platforms. We will continue to seek support of the public in the fight against corruption and the promotion of ethics and integrity. Finally, we thank the university fraternity and the EACC management team and staff for facilitating this auspicious event. It is highly appreciated. And with that, may God richly bless you as we join this effort in eliminating corruption in Kenya. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Commissioner. On to our next item on the program. We would like to have a short photo session. So we'd like to call the chairperson of EACC, Dr. David Oginde, kindly come up to the podium. Our EACC commissioners, kindly come up to the podium. EACC directors and deputy directors, would ask you to join us kindly. Then we have the head of CLIF, together with the CLIF stakeholders. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Kiambi, kindly join us. Together with our DVC, Professor Chemorion. Then we have a few members of Management Board. Kindly join us. Thank you very much.
So Grace, don't move far away, because I want to take this opportunity not to give a vote of thanks, but Grace will come and give a vote of thanks. But as a result of these deliberations here today, we had some thoughts that we could front these to then make it actionable. And by making it actionable means that